Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are here with Linda Fleischmann. Linda, welcome to the show.
You, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, and having a fantastic year. I believe number 68 on the Scotsman's Guide, if I remember correctly, in and around that range, which is absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Um, so let's dive in. I would love to hear how you got in the business and how your journey has been, and then we'll take that and move it forward into today's market. So tell me a little bit about how did you get into the mortgage business and how did you get to where you are today?
Perfect. I started actually back in going to college, part-time as a teller at Calfed Bank, going to school, and thought I wanted to be a teacher, which after I graduated said, absolutely not. But I was in banking and I found I liked it. So I figured I'd stick with it. So I went from part-time teller to new accounts to, assistant manager to finally branch manager. So I built my way up, and I loved it. I loved working at the bank actually. And as a branch manager, you're in charge of pretty much everything, right?
Yep.
We did home equity loans. We did seconds. So I had some experience with loans and I always liked them. But keep in mind, I didn't know anything about credit reports. I knew nothing about title. Back office did all that. I had no
Yep.
clue. We really didn't do mortgages. We had loan officers that came into our branch and did mortgages, but you still had to know enough about them. So I kind of learned. And then I started getting into mergers. So CalFed got taken over by First Nationwide Bank and
Hmm.
went through that merger of not a very nice experience. And then got through that one. But then the next one was with Glenfed Bank. And they decided to move me from my beautiful Burbank branch office, which I loved, to a North Hollywood substation where they had a sheriff substation in the bank because they got robbed so many times in North Hollywood. And I thought, I'm done.
Hmm.
So I ended up going to, for those of you in the business for a long time, WMC Mortgage, who a lot of people were at, subprime mortgage company. I had a very good friend of the family who was running the wholesale and retail division and started a specific one just for me that was basically retail getting declines on bank clients, right? That
Okay.
couldn't get a mortgage because they had bad credit.
Yep.
So I started that. I brought in a couple people from the bank, and after 3.5 months, got laid off.
Oi.
And I got to tell you though, the story of how I got laid off is actually, I'll make it short, but it was actually really funny. I went in, I had, there were some things going on. Every time I would show up, more departments were missing and not there anymore. So there was writing on the wall. And I went to go to the parking garage to park my car, and I did my car pass, and they it wouldn't let me in. And so I had to hit a manual button. I get in, I went to the parking garage guy and I said, hey, my parking card isn't working. And he said, oh, he goes, let me see. So he goes over to a basket, goes through it, pulls out a pink piece of paper, said, oh, well, you've been fired. So I don't know. That was how I found out.
From the
So
parking attendant?
parking attendant. Yep. Yep.
Ah,
Yep.
wow.
That was fun. So I left and decided that I really liked loans. I only did it for 3.5 months. I learned a lot, but I really loved it.
Hmm.
So I talked to my team there, and everybody was like, nope, you do it on your own. Nope, we're gonna go find something else. And so one of the ladies stayed on with me, and we started a business from nothing. Didn't really know enough, but we learned and went through a couple different partners until I finally got out and on my own, because I decided partners were not as didn't always have the same vision as I did, didn't work as hard as I did,
Hmm.
basically. So and then in 2000, I forgot what year it was, 2006, I think. Ended up connecting with a gentleman in the marketing business, and I ended up writing a book called How
Oh,
to Have a Stress-Free Mortgage.
nice.
And I did that because I felt there were so many clients that would come to me that, just deposited cash in their account and then came to me to go get a mortgage. I go, Cash, not so good. All the things that people do that they think, oh, it's no big deal, it's fine, and you're like,
Yep.
no, it's actually not fine. So I wrote the book to help people out, and when I separated from my partners and closed the first company, it became Stress-Free Mortgage, which
Hmm.
is really kind of what I try to do for clients, not for me, but for my clients. I try to make it so that they don't have to worry. If I tell them they can get a loan, we're closing.
Yep.
that's that's kind of how
Absolutely. Is the book still part of the marketing and how you drive leads into the business?
it is and it isn't. It's on my all my emails. So I do it that way. I have books if I go to any type of, set up a table or do a realtor event or anything. I give out the books.
Okay.
They are for sale. They're on sale on Amazon. You can buy them there. You can buy them directly from me. But in a lot of ways, I use it more for my business card. When
Yep.
I meet with realtors, I try to give them a bunch of books to give out to their clients. It's a very simple read. It's not a long book. It's not complicated. It's supposed to be stress free. So that's kind of what I did. So yeah, it's still out there. I still use it for that kind of marketing. And when I look at it this way, when people are looking up for somebody and they're searching, right? When they see the name stress-free mortgage,
Mm,
it gives them that,
right.
okay, if they're saying that, there's got to be something there. And then usually once they talk to me, they're done. I mean, I get clients all the time and go, you really did make this stress free. And
That's
that's the
amazing.
goal. So yeah, it's a good name because it's not just like, I don't know, a mortgage company that just is XYZ mortgage company that's just doesn't really say much about them. This tells you the experience you're going to have with me and
And
how
that
we're going to
is
for you.
so important. There's so much emphasis put on, products and that sort of thing. And not that that's not important in what it is that's delivered to the company, but the focusing on the user experience, I think, is a huge message to the market. It makes you referable, all those wonderful things. So we had some interesting preamble before we went live on the episode about the fundamentals of the mortgage business, because here we are close to, I think, 20-ish years in the mortgage industry, 25.
Here that I started, yeah.
So you've been through all of the major market cycles that
Yeah.
are in any form of memory, I think, in the mortgage industry today. And here we are going through another market cycle. And so I'm very interested in how you perceive the current interest rate environment, what's happening in the mortgage industry, where are you getting your clients from right now, and what is your growth plan for moving forward? So I know that's a lot to unpack. So let's start with current market environment compared to other cycles we've been through. How do you see the similarities, and what do you think loan officers should be focused on moving forward this year at this point that we're at in the cycle?
Well, I think that, in the past, a lot of times people have tried to compare what we're in now or we've been going through for the last year and a half with, 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference in that. The difference was we were doing 100% LTV financing. We were doing stated 100%. We were doing some crazy stuff that they allowed us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But your equity was not there.
Yeah,
People couldn't refinance because they were upside down. We went through the short sale, era where everything was a short sale. Nobody had equity. People were walking away from their houses. Here, what's happening is that even when prices came down a little bit, they adjusted down, but they didn't drop. Everybody seemed to go, oh my God, the prices are going to drop. And I was like, there's not enough inventory out there.
that's right.
There's just not. There's just not. And not only that, but all the people that we as an industry refinanced and did purchases for in 20 and 21, those people don't want to move. They don't want to
That's right.
sell. And if they move, guess what? Half of them are keeping that house and keeping it as a rental because they've got a 2.5, 2.875 rate. So they're keeping it, it's got great cash flow.
Yep.
So the market is very different. I get clients who say to me, oh, we're going to wait until the rates come down. And I'm like, okay, but by the time the rates come down, you're going to be paying more for that same house, now that you could buy. You can always refinance, and you will. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to my refi market of all the clients I've done purchases for. So I think that's a big difference in the market, at least on that side. For me, I try to keep in touch with my clients. I'm not overly done. I don't pound them with things. I started doing actually recipe cards back in the
Oh, no
day.
way.
Yeah, recipe cards. And I got to tell you, and it just has my information on one side. It's got a recipe on the other side. It's a postcard that comes out. And to this day, any client I run into is like, oh my God, I love your recipes. Oh my God, I love your recipe cards. And it was a great way to stay in touch
Yep.
without, shoving, hey, there's a cash out refi today. Oh, why don't you look at a VA? It was just a great way to keep in the forefront of people's minds. And, I get phone calls and I get people who love it. So that's one way that I actually have always kept in touch with clients. And my biggest thing is really about just, like I said, I don't do a huge amount of marketing.
Okay.
But what I do is I talk to my clients. Every time I close a loan, I send an email thanking them for trusting us and getting this done and letting them know to give me a review. And also that, I love referrals and please remember me to your friends and family. I keep in touch with the realtors. I've had a couple of realtors that came with my clients, right? I didn't refer them. And I've been hitting up those realtors going, hey, we've done a couple deals together. Wasn't it great? Let's do some more.
Yep.
So I'm starting to get some referrals from that. I think it's just my goal is to always do the right thing for a client, even if it's not the right thing for me. It's
Hmm.
always been my mantra.
Yep.
So I will tell a client, not to do a loan if it doesn't make sense. I will tell them not to refinance if it doesn't make sense. And I've had clients who I'm like, you know what? If you're with somebody else, I respect that. But send me what they're giving you.
Right.
Let me just look at it. If it's good, I'm going to tell you, stay with them. They're giving you a good deal. And if it's not, and they're not getting a good deal and they're getting ripped off, guess what? I'm all over that.
That's
Sorry,
right.
you're getting ripped. I
Yep.
don't like that. I don't like when people do that to their clients. So I'm very much that person. And they love that and they respect that. And even if I don't do a loan for them, guess what? They're going to remember me to either their friends or their family or the next time they want to do something. So
Yep.
that's how I've managed to build my business is just literally referral based.
That is amazing. And so how often do you reach out to the past customer database?
You know, Probably not as often as I need to, but it's really honestly, it's really more the postcards.
Yeah.
That's what I do when I close a loan. I put them on the postcard list, send out the postcards, and that's pretty much it. I really don't hit them up. I'm not not my forte as much for marketing,
And
but
that
it's
is,
worked for me. So
that's it.
it's grown.
And the future of AI and helping to automate a bit of that communication can go a long way. But I
Yes.
think it also comes down to, like, so many of our listeners are here and they listen to the podcast because I'm known for marketing, I'm known for automation, I'm known for scale. I'm an aggressive
Yeah.
marketer,
Yeah.
right? That's just what it is.
Which I
So
love, by the way, because I'm not.
well, thank you. But I think this speaks so much to the beauty of our industry, because if you treat people right
Mhm.
and you do the right thing and you just keep in touch as best you can with those past customers, yeah, there might be a couple extra deals here and there with that follow up, but doing the right thing, keeping in touch with people and running your business your way, there's a lot to that. Of your message, consistency in the database. I think there's a lot to be said for success that comes from consistency.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, please go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm good.
So, we mentioned the realtor relationships and getting realtors from the actual deals themselves and reaching out. So, when you ask for like that post transaction follow up, are you also following up with the realtor? When you do a deal with a realtor, will you send them a card? Will you put them on a drip? Or do you have like separate marketing that goes after agents specifically?
No, I put them on the same postcard list because again, I don't want to be that pill that is constantly in their face. And I know that there's a
Yep.
benefit to that too. I mean, listen, I've had title reps that come to my office, repeatedly where I'm like, probably not going to give you much. I've got my guy. But you know what? When they come for a month or two, you're like, all right, let me give you one, right? People tend to like sneak in that way. I
Yep.
don't like to bother people. I'm kind of one of these loan officers who says, listen, I'm here for you. I'm really good at what I do. I am a problem solver. I am not a, vanilla loan officer where you've got to be W-2 with your 20% down and your great credit scores and you're the only one I'm taking. I'm the one who goes, what's your situation? And let me find a lender that can do this loan for you. So I'm a problem solver.
Mm.
And so because of that, I tend to do a lot of business for people that are like, we don't know where else to go. We were told we can't do
Yep.
this loan. You know, I work with one of the home builders, and what I started with them actually was reverse mortgages because
Okay.
they're inside lender, right? They can't do reverses. They could do everything else, but they couldn't do reverses. So I did reverses for them, and then I developed this relationship with the in-house ladies. And one day we were chatting. She was actually chatting about her own loan, and we started having a conversation. And then she realized that, oh, you do other things. I'm like, yeah. And so now I get their declines. So when they're
Right.
in-house lender, because they're not as creative as
Mhm.
I can be, they tend to give me their declines, and then
Yep.
I get them closed. So that's another way that I communicate a lot of times with the realtors. But yeah, I'll just reach out. But I'm here if you need me. But if you don't, I'm not going to sit here and bug you and harass you to use me. I'm just not. I feel like, I'm good at what I do, and I'm really nice. And so if
Yep.
you want to work with me, happy to help. If you don't, I'll move on. I'm good.
That is such a beautiful mindset. That's awesome. There's far more of them than there are of you, and you are
Exactly.
the prize. That is amazing. Um, oh, that's so beautiful. Um, Linda, you mentioned something earlier in a comment, and I'm wondering, so when rates go back down, your database is going to love it. Everybody in the mortgage industry going to love it. That's great. Do you keep track in your database of where your loans are locked and the interest rates that are within the database and strategically reach out in those environments where rates are declining?
Yeah, what I did, granted, because it's been quieter, um, and I had time, what I did is I took the loans that I've closed in the last like year and a half to 2 years, 2022, and I put them in a spreadsheet and I have them all laid out. And I actually did send an email out to all of those clients saying, hey, rates are not down yet, but I anticipate them coming down. When they are, please reach out to me first.
Yep.
Because what happens is a lot of people, even when you tell them this, right? What happens is they get their monthly mortgage statement and they go, "Oh, I'll just call my servicer whoever has my loan and see what they can do." And typically they're not getting a good deal. They're
Yep.
not getting somebody who's been in the industry. They're getting just I don't even know if it's a loan officer, whatever they get. They don't get to me, in my mind, they don't get quality because I don't think
Right.
they have quality people there. And so I am letting them know, hey, call me first, because again, if you get a quote from somebody, I want to make sure it's right. I want to make sure you're getting the right deal and that it makes sense, because
Yep.
it may not make sense and that person doesn't care. They just want to make a buck.
Yep.
I'm not about making a buck. I'm about making a client for life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I do. I tell my clients, once you have me for life. They call me 2 months later, 6 months later, a year, 2 years later to ask me about their property taxes.
Yeah.
How many people call you afterwards to go, okay, I got this bill for this supplemental thing. I don't understand,
Yeah.
or my account is screwed up with the lender with my impound account. We're there. We will call, we will help them. We make nothing on that. But
Yep.
it doesn't matter. That's what I'm here for, is after we close as well,
Yep.
which is a big difference than most people. They're like, oh, I made my dollar, I'm done.
Yep.
Right? Go call your servicer, you have an issue. I don't do that. I'm here for them afterwards. So yeah, I do have that database. I did email them and send them out that letter, say, hey, make sure to please call me. Don't just call your servicer. because I want
Yes.
to make sure I get it first.
Yeah. And that's good service. Everybody
Yeah.
wins, and
Yep.
that is the beauty. That's how good business is done. That is
Yep.
amazing.
Exactly.
Linda, where do people go to find out more about you and the business, and where would you like people to check you out?
They can go to stressfreemortgage.com. As long as you can spell mortgage right, you're good. A lot of people who leave off that other G and they're like more age. I'm like, no, mortgage. So stressfreemortgage.com. Like I said, my book is on Amazon. And otherwise, email Linda@stressfreemortgage.com. I keep everything very simple. One thing I will say, if anybody's new that's listening to this, is that when you have your emails, whether it's from your phone, from your iPad, whatever you're using, always have all of your contact information on every email. I can't
Yes.
tell you how many times I get emails from reps or things that people I'm doing business with. And I literally am scrolling through 10, 15, 20 emails just to find their contact information
Yep.
because they're answering from their phone and they don't have it on there. I have it on everything. So always keep that in your signature so it's easy for people.
Yes.
That's one tip I
100%.
would give that I just
That
thought of.
that is amazing. That's awesome. Well, Linda, again, thank you for being so generous with your time. Thank you for being on the show today, and to all of our wonderful listeners, we will see you on the next episode.